wish I could fight bad guys like you.
I seem to mess it up almost every time.
Maybe you just need someone watching your back. Like a partner.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is the new film in the Marvel machine in which the Ant-Man and the Wasp woman have to save the day from the shady people. I wonder if they're gonna succeed. I wasn't the hugest fan of the first Ant-Man. I considered it to be standard superhero origin fare, but it did have a fun concept of shrinking, which opened it to a lot of possibilities. It was serviceable enough, although I really wish we saw what Edgar Wright would have come up with. And with that said, the sequel to said Ant-Man, now with a Wasp, I could safely say I may even care less about. That isn't to say it's super bad, it's just more mediocre if anything. I should clarify that I do enjoy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I completely get what they were going for in this movie. Both Infinity War and even Black Panther to an extent were big epic events in their own right, and this is not at all trying to be like those two. This is a lighthearted palate cleanser, and that's not a bad thing at all. You know, we kinda need a break from all the stuff that happened. And Ant-Man seems like the perfect fodder for some low-stakes superhero fun, so I really can't be mad at it for that, but I can call it very whatever. There isn't a whole lot to talk about story-wise. It's basically, we have to go save Michelle Pfeiffer from Tinyland! And while it's important for characters in the movie, in the grand scheme of things, this is really not much. It's filler. Admittedly, I am a little biased against filler, mostly when applied to a long continuing story, which this franchise kind of is at this point. It can be done well if fun enough, but it could also feel pointless. And watching this movie, I was thinking, is this story really that necessary to tell? Most likely not, but who knows. It could throw a curveball later. I wouldn't really even be thinking this if the movie maybe focused on a different superhero. Cause here's the thing. Get ready for it, cause here we go. Scott Lang's not a very interesting character. I get that he's supposed to be a relatable everyman to this crazy technobabble world, but the truth is, there's not a whole lot to him. He just feels like he's playing Paul Rudd. Now I like Paul Rudd, but he doesn't bring a lot to the role itself. Probably not his fault, that's more the direction, or the writing. Oh, it might actually be kind of his fault. And I'm not saying you can't make him into an interesting character, you totally can. I used to think Thor was my least favorite character for a long time, but then Ragnarok and Infinity War really dove into his broken family and how he lost everything he was supposed to protect. And it really made him this tragic and sympathetic figure. You can do the same thing with Scott Lang if you really dive into his criminal past, like look into what pushed him into becoming a thief and what drove his family away from him in the first place. Make him like he still has criminal tendencies even though he's affable Paul Rudd. They probably might not do that, but they should. Hope I didn't feel had much of a character either. She's just a more confident and mature foil to Paul Rudd. Hank is actually my favorite out of all the characters, and a lot of that had to do with Michael Douglas's performance. He had good delivery in comedic scenes, and even some solid acting in the dramatic ones. Michael Pena... A lot of people laugh at the comedy of these movies. And sure, I don't blame them, go ahead. But to me, whenever it cuts to Pena and his buddies going on some wacky exchange, I just sit there in silence, feeling somewhat dead inside. I didn't find them funny is what I'm saying. To be honest, I found them pretty annoying. Actually, now that I think about it, Pena reminds me of Kat Dennings from the Thor movies. Although I guess I'd say he isn't as useless as Kat Dennings. And lastly, Lawrence Fishburne and the villain girl were okay. They felt kind of underwritten, not like to the disgusting degree of the earlier villains, but they are the weakest of the recent bunch. If there's anything positive to say, the action was really fun throughout it. They had a lot of new possibilities open for them, which include growing big and small, flying in the air, constantly switching vehicles and whatnot, and they do take advantage of it all. Also, I saw this in 3D and it actually looked really good. A lot of the effects really pop out at you with a good depth of field. So if you want to see this in theaters, see it in 3D on like a value day or a matinee showing. But other than that, I'm pretty lukewarm on this installment of the Marvel Million Years Worlds Collide Unlimited. There really isn't anything to get furious about, and since a bunch of people like it and have already seen it, you might as well take my opinion with a grain of salt. I consider it filler, but who knows, it might be brought up in a future movie or something. Oh, and speaking of, that middle of the credits scene was one hell of a mood whiplash. 4 or 5 out of 10.
Marvel saw the post about how Ant-Man could defeat Thanos by crawling into his ass and instantly growing in size, and that's why they didn't put him in the movie. Send tweet.
Any thoughts? I mean, do you think, you're a credited screenwriter on this. Is that why Ant-Man was not in Infinity War? Is that why you were in this? I mean, any thoughts?
Right, and then grow real big.
It would work, wouldn't it?
I don't know.